Hi, my name is Jeff Pagano, and welcome to our bonus clip from our Rap Pod recording, where our panel looked back over Leinster v Zebra. If you missed it, you'll find it on Apple, Spotify, and all the other usual places. Well, with all that happened last weekend against Northampton, including the tragic news about Clayton Doris's surgery, despite there being so many Leinster and Ireland players involved, we weren't exactly all that excited about the Lions selection during the week. So we didn't respond right away here at Harpin on Rugby, which means it's about time we did. So I've asked the panel just to go over the squad quickly and maybe select a 15 for the first test between them. Starting with yourself, Connor, you're going to look at the forwards for us.
Yeah, and I think that it's important to look at some of the players who are lucky and some of the players who are unlucky. There are some who are absolutely there on merit without any question. And well, I suppose you could say they're all there on merit, really. But, Doris losing out definitely opened up a back row spot. There will probably be a couple of players looking, saying, geez, I'm fortunate he's not going because that's what's opened up a spot for me. And I think in the same vein, a lot of players are lucky that Jack Willis doesn't play his rugby in England and he's playing abroad because he's in some great form and could very well have been chosen in spite of everything. I think some of the lucky players, look, I think someone like Scott Cummings probably never thought he was going to get the nod. And is he likely to play in any of the big tests? I don't think so. I think James Ryan is fortunate to be getting picked in the sense that he's been injured for quite a while now and not been available to play. So he's getting picked on reputation. He's getting picked on what we know he can do. And we just hope that he gets the opportunity to show that that's what he's going to do as well. I think Luke Cowan-Dickey is lucky. I don't think he's the best of the options in his position by any means. Okay. If somebody says to me right now, pick your starting pack, which is what you've done, I'm looking at. I think the coaches are going to be looking at the players who work well together, the players who've got that bit of pre-existing cohesion. So I think it's looking like an Irish biased pack. And I think on merit as well. I think we're looking at Porter to start at loose head and probably Schoeman on the bench to replace him. I think we're looking at Sheehan. Anyone who isn't looking at Sheehan to start as the test number 2 isn't looking at rugby and is just picking entirely based on who their favourite team are in a Six Nations. I think Fagerson will probably get the nod at tight head. Part of that is because Tyke Furlong just hasn't had a lot of game time this season. I would not have been disappointed to see, I know he would have been, but to see Furlong given a break for the summer would have been great for Irish rugby and for Leinster rugby. Interestingly, he's only one of 7 players who's previously played as a Lion available to be picked for the pack. Everybody else will be new, and the only player who Ronan Kelleher got called up last time but never got any game time, but only 7 have previously played a Lions test. It's 2 of those 7 who get the nod in the second row because it's going to be Tadhg Beirne and Maro Itoje. I don't think anyone's in doubt about that, especially now that Itoje has been named captain. That just makes it more likely and more probable, and it's going to be the case. But I think Beirne will be worthy of a spot in there. And then when it comes to back row, it's a tough call because if I'm picking, I'm going to be biased. I'm not picking and I'm not seeing what's going on in training grounds in the lead up. I think Jack Morgan could get the nod at 6, Josh van der Fleer at 7, and then I would love to see Conan picked at 8. I think he's really, really come into just the right form at the right time. I think from a balance point of view, they may look at Ben Earl as a possibility, but for me, I'd be picking Conan. but I wouldn't be surprised to see Earl get the nod. And then from a bench point of view, I wouldn't be surprised to see Pollock taking that 20 jersey. And that'll be a great opportunity for him if he gets it.
Yeah, I mean, can't argue with any of that. And the thing about Pollock's arrival on the scene is that it helps paper over the why the hell isn't Jack Willis there question, which I've been. I mean, as much as I love Josh, you just look at someone like Jack Willis and why the hell isn't he playing for England? I don't care where he's playing. I know it's a rule that Ireland has as well, but it's just you want the best players playing Test rugby. You want the best players involved. You see him tearing up trees for Toulouse time and time again, and it's just a shame that he's been excluded. But listen, that's probably a debate for another day. Okay, that just leaves the backs. Kieran is going to go through the selections for us.
Yeah, and just before I get into the ones I think should start, I will say I don't particularly care about the Lions. And Connor mentioned you'd like to see Tyke Furlong have a summer off. I'd love to see all the Ireland players have a summer
Mm.
off. I'd love it if instead of going to the Lions every couple of years, we have these tours against tier two sides, good for the tier two sides, where any player who has more than 40 caps just gets a rest. And so yeah, look, Lions is just I've said it before. I don't particularly have any interest. I'm more interested in the development tour that Ireland would be on. I'd have more of an eye on that. And but yeah, looking at playing a bit of fantasy rugby, probably a natural bit of Leinster and Ireland bias here, particularly Leinster bias in terms of I'm more familiar with the Leinster and Ireland players. So I tried not to just pick a Leinster back line, but one player I will mention is Mac Hansen. I was a little bit surprised, I think, to see him there. Not because he's not a quality player, and again, he acts as that playmaker off the wing. I just don't know if he's been good enough this season to necessarily, you mentioned players being picked on reputation, like James Ryan. He's probably one of those. Connacht obviously haven't had a great season, but I heard something mentioned on during watch the Connacht Edinburgh game last night that he may have been picked in terms of being a good character to go on tour. There probably is an element of that as well because look, chances are only there's so many players in the squad and there's only so many of them that are going to play in the three test matches against Australia. A few of them are going to get game times in the other in the tests against the Pacifica side and the representative sides and the club sides. But he might have been picked just because he seems like the kind of character who gets on well, entertaining in press conferences too. So maybe there's an element to that. But he might have been brought more because this guy can do a job. He's very good, but also he won't be clashing with anyone. So I wonder, was that a factor in picking any other players? But
He speaks
but
fluent Australian as well.
that's true. He is fluent in Australian. He knows all the local spots. I hear Australia's only a small little place like Ireland, so you can probably take you for a walk around it. But starting back, so I went number nine. I think it's pretty much nailed on. Jamison Gibson Park is going to play in the three big tests. I think look, he's the best, probably second only to Anton Dupont. So best fit scrum half in the world at the moment. 10 is an interesting one then. I said on the pod, I'm glad Sam Prendergast didn't go. I think Jack Crowley would have went if he had played during the Six Nations, played more during the Six Nations. I went with Finn Smith because I think you're looking at Finn Smith, Finn Russell, or Marcus Smith. I think it's either Finn Smith or Finn Russell. I think Finn Russell could do with the chip on his shoulder coming off the bench and saying, "I'll show you what I can do. I'll show you I can play." Finn Smith's a good playmaker at fly off. He does a really good job at moving the ball. He's better at that than Marcus Smith. His first thought isn't to run into someone who in front of him. His first thought is to move the ball quickly to someone who can make a run. And I think he's that better playmaker. And again, put Finn Russell on the bench for that kind of chip on his shoulder. James Lowe, number 11, I think he's the best number 11 in the squad. Really powerful, scores lots of tries. And then in the centre, I was a bit stuck on this one because I tried to pick kind of one who's really good at attack and one who's really good at defence. They're both good at both, but I think Siane Tibalutu, who if Scotland had had him during the Six Nations, I think they would have done better. And at 12, he's not battering ram, he's not attacking. I think Bundy Aki can do that role as well, but I think Tubelutu, he's going to be raring to go after his injury. Gary Ringrose then is number 13. Just I think he's one of the best defensive centers in the world. I think you could equally have Aki and Hugh Jones there because they would also be a really good combination. But I like the idea of having one kind of very good attacking and one very good defensive who can do the attacking job. Number 14, Duan van der Merwe, carries the ball really well in attack, dangerous winger. I think you saw he scored a try kind of out of nothing against Ireland in the Six Nations. Always impressed him when he plays. I just think he's a brilliant player. So I think they have him on one wing, James Lowe on the other wing, Tubelutu in the middle to be that battering ram, and then Lowe and Duan van der Merwe to poach off the wings. And then, 15 is an interesting one. So you're looking at probably Blair Kinghorn, Elliot Daly, or Hugo Keenan. I think Keenan's the best under the high ball, and he's a good defender. Kinghorn and Daly add that bit of versatility. I wasn't really sure to go with, so just in the name of having a versatile number 23, I went with Blair Kinghorn, number 23, and Hugo Keenan to start. That is absolutely Leinster bias because I'm mostly familiar with them. I think they're all good players, but I know the most about Hugo Keenan. Like I say, I'd rather he'd have the summer off. So I wouldn't mind if Daly or Kinghorn play, but I won't begrudge anyone a Lions cap. But I think Kinghorn is a really exciting attacking talent, and he has that bit of versatility to play in that number 23 role, whereas Hugo Keenan is, to me, an out and out fullback. Good on the wing if he needs to play there. And then just to say on the bench, Kinghorn number 23, Finn Russell is the 22 I picked. And 21, you're probably looking at Alex Smith over Thomas Williams, but I said Thomas Williams just to make sure each union is represented because I think if you're having a representation,
Token Welshman.
You may as well have quotas. You may as well have token quotas.
Yeah. Yeah, listen, the ironic thing what I was saying about Jack Willis earlier, it's like he can't play, but then Blair Kinghorn is in the squad, plays for the exact same team. It's just ironic. But listen, and what you said at the start about the not caring about the Lions, I feel I kind of feel the same. It's as the tours have gone on, my interest level has gone down. I'm more interested in these players playing for Ireland. But we've had this discussion on the pause before. But it's always the same when the tests kick off, you're into them and you're hoping they do well. But anyway, listen, it's always a talking point. If you agree with our 15 or don't agree, leave your comments and let us